Hello and welcome to CLEA'S World. I am Claire, and today I would like to share with you more information I've received from the 25th dimension during my last BQH, Beyond Quantum Healing hypnosis session. In this case, the hypnotist, the practitioner was Lorrayne, and so I'll be reading from a transcript. And when I refer to Lorrayne, I am speaking of the hypnotist, and when I refer to me, I'm talking to myself under hypnosis, which means that the answers were coming from the 25th. So I am going to dive right in here and let's get started. So we'll start with a question from Lorrayne, where she asks, what will Lorrayne do on New Earth? Will she teach, which is a passion of hers? Will there be reason for teaching anything to anyone, since we will all know everything? Will people on New Earth need to learn anything new or need help with anything that some of us can help with? Me. Yes, of course. And they were laughing as they said this. Not everybody is the same. Everybody learns different ways. And there are some of us that, because of our personal, we say personal to use a human term. Of course, nothing is personal. Some of us have had experiences that will allow us to pave the way or to smooth the path for others, and we'll be happy to share them. And as we teach, we will also learn from others. Well, we are a collective and we will all feel each other. People will have different personalities, just like here. And therefore, people will find certain things easier to flow with, and some other things will be more challenging. And that's when they will reach out to someone. You can call them a teacher, you can call them a friend, you can call them another version of themselves, however you want to think about this concept. But they will be reaching out to someone and having this person walk them through something, which doesn't mean they don't have access to the information, but it's not about the information. It's about distilling the experience. Because while I may be aware of your experience, I will not have had the time to deal with it in first person. And I might need help exactly understanding how you move through that, or whatever the case might be. We are not going to have teachers in terms of what we think of teachers here. People who are teaching you certain crafts, or they're imparting instructions of some kind on how to do certain tasks. It's not about that, because again, we'll have access to all of that. It's more about basing ourselves on something else, on somebody else's personality, because this person might have more ease in moving through certain things that we might be stuck on. So it's more like, more than a teacher, we can call it a teacher, but it might be like what we refer to here more as a counselor, as an advisor, or even a therapist. And we don't mean to give the impression that we'll need therapy on New Earth. And they were laughing here. We mean it from the perspective of someone who perhaps can guide you or can give you some guidelines for how they have dealt with it from an emotional standpoint, and it might actually help you. This is the beauty of being a collective, the fact that we can draw on all these experiences. We might need help with these things because of our past experiences. We might need help with these things because of some other people's experiences that we become privy to. Think of, for example, a couple that's moving there, two people who are moving there as a couple. Not only a person is becoming privy to their entire existence, which means all their quote unquote past lives, but now they become privy to what their significant other's experience is. And there might be things in there that they're not capable of accepting. Because again, we'll have our own personality. And it might be helpful to reach out to someone who's going through the same thing and just connect further. We're going to be connected to everyone, obviously, but just delve more. So when we say, for example, that you have to integrate certain things, you absolutely have to, but it does not mean that you have to do that on your own necessarily. Now we were able to, and they were chuckling here, you know, the coaching, if you want to call it a coaching process, it doesn't have to happen like it happens here. Time and space are irrelevant. So you can connect, you know, everybody's thoughts and feelings. So at a distance, you can go and dip into the psyche, if you want to call it that, of the person who has had that experience. But you can also make it more formal, you know, again, as a reminder, almost as a mirror of what we used to do here. So in that sense, you can call yourself a teacher. This is what I'm good at, and this is what I would like to bring to the community. And absolutely, you can do that. So yeah, it's not, we're absolutely going to have teachers in that sense. We're going to have people who are more suited to certain things. We all have, excuse me. Sorry, guys, I had a bit of a coughing fit because this often happens when I am connecting to the 25th or I'm speaking on the 25th, passing on information like in this case. So just a way of clearing the energy for me. Okay, so I'm going to resume here. I'm going to repeat the last phrase. So yeah, it's not, we're absolutely going to have teachers in that sense. We're going to have people who are more suited to certain things. We all have talents. We all have special talents, and we absolutely want to leverage those as a community. This is how we become extremely powerful. Lorrayne, thank you. You already said that CLEA will continue spreading messages somehow, but is it for the sake of people on New Earth or for the aliens? Me. Yes, so both. CLEA will actually spread messages for the entire matrix the way she has been doing, but also she will play some role to the same extent we're describing what you will be doing. Because again, many of us who might need help with something might be actually helping others with something else that comes much more naturally to them. And so many of us will play this role of, again, we can call it coach or counselor or guide. We will all be playing multiple roles because again, you're really teaching yourself. It's whatever you'd be willing to do here to get yourself out of a situation where you're a little bit stuck. We'll do the same thing over there. And also there are things that you flow with here that you have no issue with. Normally, when you have an issue with something, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're incapable of doing anything else. You probably are functioning really well in 90% of the other areas of your life, but maybe you're getting stuck in this 10%. And so again, while you might be getting counseling on this side, maybe you're teaching others on the other side. So that's all it is. It's very reminiscent of what we do here in that sense. So both CLEA will be doing both things. So both, CLEA will be doing both things. Okay, thank you. And this is Lorrayne. Time has been something that we are obsessed with. Well, once an experience has been manifested, it's afterwards always available to experience forever in now. Is there a difference in how it's experienced by the ones that manifested it first, as opposed to the ones witnessing it afterwards? For example, we believe we're actors, not witnesses in this takedown. But you said that the takedown happened when it was intended by source. So are we actors or witnesses to something that's already happened and keeps happening forever? Along the same lines, the people looking at this takedown in the future, will they feel like they're part of the action as much as we are as the humans who are here on this planet now, like actors in a play? Or will they feel like they're watching a movie they have no power to change? Me, yes. So, and they were chuckling here. It's a bit of a blend because it's not quite as clear cut as things are here. So for example, here we either have the option of being actors in a certain event, and we can change the event, we can affect other people, we can interact with other people. The other option, the other alternative is we're watching a movie. We cannot change anything about the movie. We're just watching it. We're experiencing it as if it's happening right now. It's a little bit of a blend, and here's why. So while the takedown was intended when it was intended, and it's being intended right now, because once the original experience transpired, as we know, it continues happening. So you can go and see it happening right now. The experience takes time to manifest. Of course, there is no time. The experience is just the experience. And so we are living, to answer your first question, we are actors in it. We are currently part of the takedown. The takedown has not happened before it happens. So while it has been intended, and we can surely say in the moment that it was intended, everything stems from it. We, in our now, are living it, are living through it for the first time, and we are focused on it. Now, anyone from the rest of the matrix can come and experience the takedown at this time while it's happening. Now somebody else, and let's use time, and they were laughing to explain this concept of the absence of time. Somebody in 1,000 years might want to experience old Earth because at that point, old Earth will not exist anymore and will be in a version of the matrix where there is no old Earth. But there's always going to be this version of the matrix where old Earth is available, where the takedown can be re-experienced. We know this even from the other takedowns we've talked about. We could go and see the takedown right now, even though those planets are technically not there anymore. But because they were there, they are always there, even though there was a takedown and the civilizations moved on. And we can see all of that. But the same case is here. The people that will come, say 1,000 years from now, and view what we consider the present, they will not be actors in it, in the sense of they're not here now, if you want to think of it that way. Even though for them, they will experience it as the present. But at the same time, they don't have to experience it the way that we watch a movie. They can experience it, for example, by taking over an NPC, by walking around. So to them, it will feel very real, as if they're going through it now. They will be able to some extent to interact in it. They're not going to be able to change anything. The experience is the experience. Nothing is going to change about it, but they can feel like they're part of the action. It's not quite just like watching a movie where you have complete disconnect with the movie. You're watching on your screen. You're really not part of it in any way. The people watching this, they could come back here and experience this as if they were in the game. It's almost like when you watch cartoons or movies where a person travels to the past in the movie and they can actually look around, be part of the action, but they can't really change anything. In that sense, we mean, and again, we're just splitting the hair. We're just being very detailed. But if you do want to think of it as one thing is making the thing happen, the thing manifest, the event actually take shape, and the other is watching the movie. Yes, you can think of it that way. For example, we want to refer to the experience Clea had when she witnessed the intending of the takedown. She couldn't really change it, but she was there. She felt as if she was part of the action. She felt all the emotions. Again, it's not quite like watching a movie where you can't, you're actually external to it. That's what we're just giving you more details about how the experience actually feels and will transpire. As for people who are coming back from the future, again, there is no future. We're using these terms to make ourselves understood. But so it's not quite like the fine line between you are either there as part of the action or you're watching a movie, like it happened to somebody else. You are, even when you come back to a certain reality, where you focus on a certain reality that's already transpired, in a way, you're still part of the action because you feel the feelings. You're there, okay? But yes, you're not the one actually making it happen. You're not capable of changing the outcome, for example. Lorrayne. Okay, humanity is obsessed with the concept of creating alternative realities with every choice we make. As in, we make one choice and a new version of our life stems from the other choice we could have made. Basically, the alternative choice generated a parallel reality where another version of us lives and becomes quite different from us. Is this true? Do different versions of us exist at the same time within the matrix? And the reason for this question, the reason I wrote this question is because in the Telegram group, we've been talking about this movie that came out that talks about, and I forgot, was it Michelle Yeoh? I forget the name of the actress, but it's a movie that came out, I think it's called Everything Everywhere All at Once, and where they explore the idea of, again, different versions of us living within the multiverse at the same time. And so I just thought it was a fun thing to ask the 25th about. All right, so here's their answer. It depends. The answer to your question depends on what is meant by having alternative versions of you out there. If we think of it as in the sense that the question was asked, which is, What if I am driving out of my house now? I go left and I get in an accident, or I go right and nothing happens, meaning that these are now two different, from this particular moment, two different versions of my life stem. And therefore, these are now parallel realities. That doesn't really happen. The reason it doesn't happen is because, again, the essence is not interested. We've discussed this before. We are not interested as essence in living in an accelerated manner to where we would have all these experiences, or as many experiences as possible at the same time. If anything, and they were laughing, we are interested in slowing things down and only focusing on one experience at a time. And the reason for that is that we have eternity to deal with, and eternity is forever. We can't even conceive that here. And our biggest issue, our biggest challenge is not to be bored. So we would have no interest, we have no interest in exploring different lives or possibilities at once. We would rather chain them. So have focus on one experience, and then focus on another one, and then focus on another one. So in that sense, no, this is not what happens. Once you turn right, you turn right. If you turn left, then you deal with the next experience you want to create out of that. Because the truth is, these experiences don't just happen. Again, the idea behind the fact that I get in an accident, then this stems from it. What is the idea? The idea is that things stem or come to me because of external circumstances. We already know this is not the case. The essence chooses every experience. So I might have the experience of the accident and still step right into what would have happened if I had just turned right out of my house and not had the accident. Because maybe the next experience I want to have is that I win the lottery. And it doesn't matter whether I had an accident or not. And they were laughing. I still win the lottery because that's what my essence is interested in. There is no destiny or something that happens that is outside of me. So whatever experience I'm interested in, as in my essence does not get split. And all of a sudden, again, different circumstances bring two different outcomes. This is not correct. However, the reason we said it depends how you mean the question is when you think about it, if you want to think of as versions of you living out there in the matrix doing different things to a certain extent in a very limited manner, exist for one simple reason that we already explained. There are no past lives. All our entire existence, all our different experiences as incarnated beings or even disembodied beings are still out there for us to experience right now. So in that sense, we could focus on one of our previous experiences and say, oh, look, there's another version of me having a completely different life. But is it? Well, it's still happening and we can focus on it. We're not interested in focusing on that because we already experienced that. That's now boring to us. It's already been incorporated. We're learning nothing from that. Now we're focused here. So in that sense, you can technically say there are other versions of me living out there, but they're not really out there. They're not a split of your essence. It's not your essence living out there. Your essence is focused on this now experience that you're focused on. And we know that this is not the only experience we're focused on. For example, when we sleep, our essence is focused on other realities. And even during the day, this happens. But our focus now is mostly here. That's why we're aware of this experience now on this soul planet and everything that we're going through, especially since this is a very interesting experience to us. This is something unique that's happening in the matrix. So we would not be interested, obviously, in focusing on something else at this time. But so, in that technical sense, if you want to say there are other versions of me or other things that I can, but again, this would be from past experiences, what we consider in human terms to be past lives, these are not versions of us that we have no access to because now they become almost like a different person having a different life that we don't get to experience. We have experienced all of these. Again, these are what we would consider past lives. This is our own story. These are not other people's stories or other versions of ourselves stories. And they were laughing. Now, one thing we would say is that if you really want to look at it, you are having parallel lives. This is what we do by multiplying ourselves by the many billions of people that we have on this planet, or the many trillions of people that we have in the matrix. This is all versions of you. So depends on how. This is a fun question. It depends on how you look at it. But no, in terms of how the question was meant, as in people believe that, somehow if you miss an opportunity, there is another version of you that took the opportunity and all of a sudden it has a different life experience. No, that doesn't happen that way. Okay, so Lorrayne, thank you. Okay, back to the concept of time. CLEA says that 2020 felt as if it would never end, while 2021 seemed to fly by, and time seems to have accelerated even more in 2022, at least for the last few months. Then lately has slowed down again. Why is this? Why does time feel different? And does it feel the same for everyone at the same time, or is it subjective? Me, okay. So time is very subjective. There is no time. So time, absolutely, being an idea is very subjective. No two ideas are the same. No two experiences are the same. So for CLEA, yes, 2020 did feel very long as opposed to 2021. This was mostly due to the fact that she was opening herself up to a whole new experience in 2020. She wasn't spending as much time working, so she could do all her research and become aware of a lot of different things that she had not been privy to at a conscious level before. Whereas 2021 felt like, all right, when do we get to the end of this? Okay, now we know what's going on and how do we get there? So not everybody has experienced time the same way. Now, there are times, and again, we're using time to explain the absence of time, which is quite diverting. There are times when, because of a choice made by a group of essences, like we're having right now in terms of the takedown, we have all decided this, you will experience certain things in unison, if we can say it that way. Again, it doesn't mean any essence has to do anything. It doesn't mean that every single essence has to feel a certain way. We keep repeating the essence is free, does not have to participate in anything. An essence doesn't even have to participate in a reset. If an essence wants to reject a certain reality that's very real to every other essence, it is perfectly free to do that. But there are events, like for example, the takedown, that feel very real. They want to be experienced by pretty much everyone, if not everyone. And so in that sense, you might have waves or patterns of energy that you are creating. Again, the energy is not coming from the outside. It's not coming from anyone else. It's not coming from the sun. It's not coming from Gaia. Gaia is one of us. She's the same as everyone else. Then in that sense, you might end up or tend to experience things in similar ways. So in this case, you would experience the passage of time, which is really just experiencing a certain event in the same terms. So say, wow, this went very quickly, or wow, this is taking forever. And that's what we mean about what we want to specify in this case. So for example, when it comes to what we've experienced, the collective experience we've experienced over the past 2.5 years, many essences have experienced it in similar ways, to where a lot of it felt like it's really long. It's taking a long time. It feels like a long time because it's become so tiring and so trying for many essences. But again, it's not something because it's happening on the outside. We are making all this happen. Clearly, we're not victims of it. Here's Tommy visiting. Thank you, Tommy, for making this video better. We're never satisfied with just the 25th. We need the Tommy touch too. All right. But again, it's not something because it's happening on the outside. We're making all this happen. Clearly, we're not victims of it. But many of us at a conscious level have, because this is the game we play here, we have experienced it as, oh my goodness, when is it going to end? Like it's not our choice to end it. When is it going to end? This is awful. Oh my goodness, the lockdown is lasting months and months. And that's what we mean by, in that sense, you can have similar experiences on a more collective level where you feel like time might move particularly slowly or particularly quickly. But generally speaking, everyone can experience time differently for the simple reason that time is not real. What's an hour? How long is an hour to you? We think we have a clock, so an hour is an hour, right? But is it? Maybe you're making food for your husband and you're having a great time. You're singing, you're in your own space, you're enjoying the process. And maybe Claire's working on bookkeeping and she hates it. So how long is an hour? Are you going to have the same experience of that hour that Claire has? You're not. So that's how we want to explain this. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next video soon. Take care. Bye-bye.